What is up, everyone? Welcome to From the Ground Up podcast. So I want to thank everyone who had a part in CritterCon, anyone who bought tickets. I mean, thank you so much for supporting me and supporting all the educators that showed up. Obviously, special thanks to Colin and Mike of Crosstown, Bill and Teresa of Coal Black Exotics, Emily and Ed of Snake Discovery. And I include Ed because we did get Ed's hands, and at the end, we may have gotten a full body Ed, which is pretty incredible. And then also Brandon Fowler of Roaming Reptiles. So thank you to all of those guys for coming out and for putting on a great show. And I got really good feedback from the people who watched it. So I'm really happy with how it went. And really some unsung heroes of everything that was going on was definitely Jeff Frederick, Hands of Jeff. So go check him out. He's done a lot of logos, say for Morelia Python Radio and other snake breeders, as well as doing every single design on CritterCon. Everything you saw that had some type of design, that was him. And not only was it him, it was me getting to him at like 12 at night and him doing it by like 1:30 in the morning. So I really appreciate all of his hard work through all of this. So he's definitely a big unsung hero of what made everything come together. Also, big thanks to Reptile Gumbo podcast. I mean, James and Katie and Carly and Ryan Cox and just that whole group, April, they all really came out and posted on groups and invited people out to check out CritterCon. So I really appreciate that. And of course, our sponsors, Josh's Frogs, Superior Shipping Supplies, and S&J Reptiles. All you guys all know Ian. And also Morelia Python Radio. So I really appreciate everyone who had any type of hand in that. Honestly, that was one of my biggest undertakings that I've ever done. I've never, obviously, in these situations, you've got to overcome certain things. And we tried something new, and I'm glad I did. And who knows, maybe we'll do it again someday. Some people were asking for it. But it was a tremendous amount of work, so I may need even more help next time. So, but I do look forward to at least considering the fact of doing it again. But other than that, portcitypet.com, you can go check out isopods. We have supplies, and we have we're actually getting some new stuff. Oh my! I can't wait to show you guys what I am also getting into. I'm really getting into things that are going to be great pets for everyone. So I look forward to sharing my different passions with you guys. And guess what? I got 3 clutches today. I got Eastern Black King Snakes laid. The female laid 11 eggs, and then I had, what else did I have? I have a ghost girl who's laying right now, and then I also had a Tessera het honey lay today as well. So, man, it's been a busy one, and it's been a busy few days, but I am so glad to be in the reptile community and having fun with it. I think this has been one of the most busy as far as reptile work goes, and I've really, really enjoyed it. And I don't know. I hope I'm able to make this my full-time living, at some point. It just kind of shows me all the things going on. It shows me that I would really love to do this full-time at some point. But anyway, enough about me. So today we are going to be talking to Scott Russel of Boss Hawgs. He is in Baltimore, Maryland. He has a crazy cool collection. He's called Boss Hawgs. He obviously has Hognose, but I mean, he has so many other things. So Scott, welcome to the show.
Hey. How's it going?
So tell us, good man.
Man, that was a great intro, by the way. That was like flawless and unrelenting. You covered like all the bases.
Yeah, I mean, after doing this like hundreds of times, you would hope I at least got something out of it,
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, but still, it's I've done a few videos recently, and realizing how many times I say and pause and stuff becomes like way more obvious.
Yeah, I've become like very cognizant of that.
Yeah, it's good for speaking. So yeah, I'm here. So I do have a bunch of I'm trying to keep the species under control, the amount of them. You were gonna ask me.
Yeah, man. I mean, well, let's go over what species you generally work with, because obviously,
okay,
Hognose, but you got something else going on behind.
Are you still trying to do this like PG?
No.
Like PG. Okay,
I was never trying to do this PG.
Okay, this is what I fuck with. All right, I got some hognose. I got like 50 snakes total, including some like almost a whole clutch of babies I've held back, some other stuff. Got some hognose. Got like a dozen bull snakes that I'm raising up. I have 3 retic females. 2 of them are super dwarfs. I'm like kind of, buying into that kind of thing, or not buying into, but it's something I want to do. But I'm trying to acquire, since they're so much more expensive than the other snakes, trying to get like 1 a year or something. What is that? Is that 3? Oh, and I have corn snakes, which I love. Got some real nice select corn snakes, and I got I got some leopard geckos. Full confession, I do leopard geckos.
Oh no! Don't have shame in a leopard gecko, man. Leopard geckos are cool.
They are cool. I could just it's not so much that, it's just I fell for them. I was like, oh man, I'm getting back into reptiles. Like these couldn't be easier. They're pretty cool. It was nice to. They were kind of the first thing I bred and got to hatch out and stuff to get a kind of refresher trial of how that goes. So that was cool, but it also, whilst doing it, you kind of realize, unless you're making something really special, like, plenty of leopard geckos in the world.
Yeah, it's definitely an animal that is overproduced in a sense, but also, there's always room for nice quality animals also. But I feel like the crested gecko kind of took over the market in which the leopard gecko had previously as like the first pet lizard.
Yeah, they're kind of like equitable. I don't know. It's, I guess it's just owning, a couple dozen of them or having babies or whatever. I've experienced like some problems with them. They're not like bulletproof. They can get, they can have issues if they're not, like attended to, or like I noticed one thing is that kind of talking with other leopard gecko breeders is, they can have weaker babies later in the season. So like if leopard gecko lays 4 or 5 clutches of 2 eggs, their last clutch, they might have I wasn't getting, what's that syndrome? None of them are whatever that morph is.
Like enigma?
Yeah, none of them were enigmas. So me keep questioning other breeders and stuff like what this was, like this neurological thing. They're like, well, it can't be enigma because it's, some other morphs or whatever, but it could just be link of, producing poor eggs later in the season, weaker animals and stuff. But that's not what I expected. I expected like you get a clutch of snake eggs, bang, they all pop out. At worst, some of them don't feed, but they're kind of all equal. But when they lay them, when a lizard lays them spaced out, it's interesting that they have the different clutches have different qualities.
Yeah, especially because usually when you have problems with snakes, it's usually your own doing during incubation or something. If an egg goes bad, if you get some kinking or just some straight up weird genetic issues. But yeah, it's never usually just a product of the animal laying at a certain time.
There's that. It could be, there could have been some dips I wasn't aware of at some points in the incubation. It's just being, less experienced and it being a first time thing. I did kind of consider that there could be a lot more variables at play, not just be like, oh, it's this one thing. So with the animals, the geckos I'm trying to breed now, I'm trying to just improve all the areas, like giving them more vitamins and better food throughout their breeding cycle, which is, I think, for me, starting now, and yeah, better food, vitamins, having the incubator just super dialed in. Now I have it, and I refinished most of my basement and turned it into a reptile room, which is what you see here. And that having a room that temperature that's really similar to the incubation temperature is, something that I didn't have before. That's going to kind of allow it to, stay stabilized better. So we'll see how it goes.
Darren Watson said he has a beautiful snake room in the chat. So
me?
Yeah. So props.
Oh, it's an all white serial killer room, but I think that's what most snake people want.
I know, right? You want that. I don't know if you remember back in the, I want to say back in the day, it was really only like 5 years ago, but you used to, Ben Rennick had those white racks, just rows and rows of white racks and like a white floor, and like everything was bleached every single day. and it was just perfect looking. I feel like that's where for a while that was like the ideal aesthetic for a snake room.
Ain't no crypto in here, dog. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, it's cool for practical reasons, dude. Just for photos, having like a white. I think I got a grayish, neutral kind of gray behind me. Having like white and gray and black, I feel like they're not going to alter the color of taking. You know, you take your snakes out while you're cleaning them or whatever, snap your pictures, and if you have some cool like jungle print background in your room that looks really neat, like that's pretty tight, but like your snakes might all look a little more green than they actually are.
I think it's also important when people are outfitting a snake room, it's like the lighting is super important. It makes it just a lot easier. So like I try to light my place up, because I actually saw this from Matt Minatola, and it's like, all bright daylight bulbs, and just light that thing up with a stadium, because you can just pull a tub out, and even if someone needs a picture really quick, like you're trying to make a sale or something, someone's inquiring about an animal, you can take a quick picture and it doesn't look terrible.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I went with through here. I don't know if I can go like mobile on this, but I got a few, I put recessed lighting in the ceiling. There's like pipes and shit down here. So I had to maneuver around this, which was like not fun to deal with. So they're a little spaced out, but they create, it's like if something's blocking light over here, you open up, there's at least light here shining down, this tub. So yeah, that was kind of the goal, and just got some the cheaper recessed lights with the LED replacement puck things that plug in, and set them to daylight because it just looks kind of clear and nice. Although it's still frustrating because I got this nice iPhone, camera, and it's really nice, but it's I don't know if I can control it, but it decides a lot of color information. Mm-hmm. I can see it actually like in a white room or like around here, like you take two different color snakes and you move the camera, you'll see it adjust the tone of it. And you're like, dude, like just go like, set it to 0 or whatever. And then I can like at least compare these two like Arctic hognoses I have, because I'm trying to see if like one is higher expression than the other. And, it's hard to tell if like something's a brighter color or not, if the, camera's kind of making decisions, but I don't know how to fix that. That's the answer to that is like you use a real camera and spend way more time.
Yeah, I think I'm lucky because I have the Samsung S9 Plus, and it has a pro mode. Okay. And so you can change like shutter speed and aperture and white balance and all of that.
So I know I can do that after I take a photo, but I haven't found a thing to do it during. This might be a pointless conversation because I just might not know my phone well enough.
Yeah, you may have capabilities that you're unaware of.
Yeah. So, but even light's good, diffused or whatever, that's cool. Thanks for the snake room compliments. There's 2 rooms. This is like kind of like a 10 by 12 foot room. There's like some bulkheading over here that lowers down, so I can't use racks that are 6 feet tall, like 6 feet everywhere around here, 6.5 feet. Lower over here. There's definitely like some weird like spatial Tetrising, trying to figure out like I want to keep my species like separated. I got the retics behind me. This wall over here is going to be all bull snakes, maybe just side up the corn snakes with them too. I got kind of a workstation over here to clean stuff. Leopard geckos are in this tower, gecko towers over here. And then if we go this way, there's another like 8 by 7 foot room. It's weird because there's like a furnace and a boiler and all this crap down here, so I had to make the rooms like a weird shape. But that room's cool because I can make that room hotter, smaller. It's like 8 by 8. It's got the hognoses in it. Those are the ones that are supposed to be like such a nightmare because they're not like getting the right, being able to kind of match the ambient heat, and I have to turn the tape up so much, like trying to find a good compromise with that. And I was kind of racking my head over because I had everything on a second floor bedroom. So the fluctuation like was insane. It was like running the AC all summer, like running the heat all winter, and it was just driving me nuts. So like the thing I wanted to fix by moving everything to the basement was like more stable temperature and some sort of like, if you want to call it a microclimate difference of, one room that's high 70s, low 80s, and another room that's, on the ground, on the concrete, like low 70s.
Are you in the city?
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, are you in a row house, or I don't know how
I'm on
Baltimore's houses are.
end of a row house.
Okay, so you're messing with kind of an older house that has a bunch of irregular shapes and stuff like I do in Philly.
Oh yeah. If you live in an old Philly house, it's super similar. It's brick.
Yeah.
Is it brick? Yeah, very similar. A lot of slanted floors and skewed walls and whatnot. But they're honestly they're better bit houses than most of the new ones people buy today. Since 120 years old and like pretty awesome still.
Yeah. I mean, I have a little bit of trouble keeping temperatures straight. This wood floor, I mean, might as well just be see-through. I mean, everything goes. There's free airflow everywhere, so keeping heat is a little bit difficult. But
is that not on the basement floor then?
No. I have a basement, but that's where I keep like a very small colony of rodents just in case I have problem feeders. And it's not really finished, and sometimes it floods out. So like I'm definitely not keeping.
You just described my reptile keeping situation up to 2 or 3 months ago. Like I had up in a bedroom, it fluctuated too much. Basement was dank and gross, and just like it being unfinished, like that weird dust and dirt that builds up. There's just so much weird, mysterious grime and litter boxes. These cats, running around making a mess, and so yeah, I really just had to go like maniacal with it, and I put a French drain in because it was like flooding. And, oh yeah. I re-concreted like half the wall. I like paid a guy to like help me and do most of it. Luckily, there's actually a guy who he kept a couple ball pythons, and he like bought one off from PetSmart, and he bought like a 20-gallon aquarium from me. And then he went and looked at all my snakes, and then I ended up paying him like $2,000 or $3,000 to like do all this work on my basement.
Oh damn! You should have traded some snakes.
Yeah, I didn't have any to give him at the time, like anything that he wanted. But still, though, the basement waterproofing stuff is really expensive. What I paid, the few grand I paid him in for supplies, would have been way more if I just found some quote unquote Joe Jerkoff waterproofing business that'll be like, oh yeah, $20,000, and then you like just walk downstairs and they like stapled some plastic sheet to your wall, and you're like, okay, that was cool. I guess my basement's waterproof. I'm just paranoid. I've been living here for almost a decade, so it's like it's just every time I go to the basement, I'm like, one of these days, I'm gonna fix this thing, and I'm gonna go like, insane on it. Not gonna be create my own clean area to be a snake psycho.
Well, I mean, it looks great, man. I mean, you can't ever tell that ever flooded or was ever a dank basement of
all this stuff I put studs in and added insulation on every wall and stuff, so I actually wanted to like keep the smell in and retain heat or retain cool if I have to cool it. The kitchen, these are like the pipes for the sink for the kitchen and everything upstairs, and there's like kind of holes you got to cut to get the pipes through and stuff, so it's like I wanted to close it up. I didn't want like snake shit emanating like into my kitchen. Just do it right.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, everyone in the comments are talking about how you look like Little Dicky.
Who the fuck is that?
You don't know who Little Dicky is? Wait a second. No. I'm going to have to screen share. So Little Dicky is like he's a rapper, but he's kind of like a funny rapper, white guy from Philly, actually.
I don't want to be associated with that.
No, he's a funny guy. No, he's cooler than you think he is. But you definitely look like him.
When I was younger, I'd get like the Ashton Kutcher stuff, or like someone said I look like Sylvester Stallone. Like, I don't know. I live in Baltimore. There's just like a bunch of like crazy people that run up to me like, "Hey, yo, you look like Cliffhanger." I'm like, all right, cool. Oh yeah, he's got that's like super generic, like beard on 60, hair on 60% of the head, white guy look.
Yeah, white guy beard, curly hair.
I got a real like lowest common denominator, like I can should be like a spy.
No, I have the same generic white person look.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah, dude, have you ever had like people come up to you in the street and like say like, "Oh, dude, what's up?" Or like I had someone come up and hug me once because they thought I was somebody else. I was like, that's it's nice, cool. I'm not who I think you think I am. No.
Yeah, I just get you look like that guy. Or I had two people in high school that apparently I look exactly alike.
Oh right, okay.
Take that for what it is, I suppose.
Well, thanks guys in the chat. I guess it's his compliment if he's like funny or whatever. Cool.
People girls like don't dislike him. Trust me.
Girls don't, dude. I mean, girls like the other dude with all the tattoos on his face, like
Malone.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I don't think it's how he looks. Maybe it is. Some people are into like, I don't know, trolls. Like troll dolls.
People who look like trash.
I'm being mean, but the guy's rich and famous, and he's like surrounded by people who like him, so maybe it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, those kind of things that you get away with when you're very talented and wealthy.
When you're rich and famous, people can make fun of how you look. It's like, what, is it really gonna hurt him? Whatever.
No, he's doing all right.
Yeah, it's good. It's all fun. Just you don't make fun of like people who aren't doing good.
Yeah, that's
you punch up.
Yes, you never punch down.
Yeah, and then you're good. You know,
hey, Post Malone, if you're listening, you can come on the podcast anytime, bud.
With that said, the Nirvana thing he did, he played good, like every Nirvana song ever. That was really cool. Like, and I'm like, my roommate turned it on. I'm like, what is this shit? And then after an hour, I was like, dude, like, all right, I can't hate on this. This is really cool.
Yeah, and he didn't play like the greatest hits. He didn't play "Smells Like Teen Spirit" like immediately. He played like songs from Bleach and some cool stuff. So
yeah, I mean, you have to though. I mean, Nirvana's like 30 plus years old now. You can't just be like, oh yeah, that one song.
Yeah.
So snakes.
Snakes.
What do you got for me, buddy?
What do we do?
I'm just gonna keep rambling.
So how'd you first get into reptiles? What first got you interested?
Okay, so I think part of it was having an older brother that really wanted one and having a mom that hated them. And at some point through time, I managed to talk, still, like, even though she wouldn't let my brother get one, I talked her into it. Got a couple garter snakes. Got a baby boa. Got some. I actually bought like 1.2 veiled chameleons that were $25.
That's fun.
Have it at Grace Reptile Show when I was like 10, like 11 or 12. So it was really cool. I really enjoyed it, but just having whatever ADD or whatever, just being like interested in too many things, you kind of neglect stuff or get like I don't know what anxiety was back then, but anxious about like, oh, I got these things to take care of and whatever, and you have a couple like bad experiences, like one or two animals died, and I had actually bred the chameleons, but they just weren't big enough, and I didn't realize the only the information I had was from like a just a book I bought, and it was really cool. I put them in, they bred, and the one died egg bound, and I still got like a couple eggs, and even one hatched out. But even after all that, it was just like I just kind of didn't know what anxiety was, and just kind of thought maybe I was just like a shitty like reptile keeper, and maybe I shouldn't, it just shouldn't be a thing I do. You get interested in other stuff like skateboarding and music and
rapping
stuff rapping, other stuff, try to get chicks or whatever. You don't want to be the weird dude, the snakes or whatever. So it kind of faded out, and for a long time I really didn't get back into a little bit through high school. Like, had a friend that was into corn snakes, and it was never on a large scale thing, and would turn into something like, I had a corn snake and I went away for a month, and my roommate's like, oh, it got out. And it's like, I don't know what that means. Like, it just randomly got out, or did you take it out, or, but anyway, it's just like, man, this isn't good, So just fast forward a bunch of years, and, I'm in, turning 30. I'm 33 now, but turning 30, and just I was really just following snake accounts on Instagram. I just followed a couple like Hognose snake Instagram accounts. Back when the last time I tried to kind of keep snakes, I was like 19, and I actually bought a whole clutch of baby hognose from some dude on like King Snake, which the website looked identical to how it looks now.
They've actually haven't changed one thing.
It's amazing. If you want to live in a time machine, do reptiles. So I got them and it was cool. And dude, this is just like a shitty story, but I set them up and either it was an error in me setting them up or the room being too hot or whatever. And like basically like had a girlfriend like watching them while I went like away for 2 weeks. And it's like most of them died. Like I came back, most of them were dead. It's really weird because like the girl I was dating like didn't even tell me they died. Like she was like
She was
hanging
just
out
nervous, or
she was hanging out, but she was like hanging out with my friend at the time, who she started dating as soon as I got
oh
back.
man,
It sucked.
that's
It was
really
like,
a double whammy, dude.
It was just the right thing. It's like, dude, fuck keeping snakes. Like, fuck this. This sucks. I'm so sad. And then, but I remember back then, like they even had like an albino or two on king snake. It would be like what, like $2,000. I'm like, damn, it's crazy. And then I get on Instagram, follow like JMG Reptile and some other dudes, and they're like, got these super Arctic snakes and albinos and lavenders and toffees and sables, and like, holy shit, like this hobby didn't stop when I stopped. It just got way cooler. Like all the things I thought might be cool in the future have like way over happened. Like when I was really into snakes as a kid, it was like, I remember that Reptiles magazine with the one picture of the pied ball python. It's like $20,000. First ever. Like, whoa, like there's 2 like ball python morphs. Like, dude, like that's like you can go morph market now, like piebald ball pythons. You can get, what do you want, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7% pied, 10, 20, 30, 50. There's like 500 on there.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy in just such a small time in the grand scheme of things, such a small time period. We've
15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. It was just some, mid-quarter life crisis, whatever thing. Or you also can just do weird stuff once you turn 30, like if you're not married.
Well, I think, you get into hobbies, you start crafting.
You get a little more money. You get like enough money to spend on shit that you wish you had when you were a kid. So
yeah, I think we come back to things that you liked when you were a kid also.
Oh yeah. Well, that doesn't even need to be said about humans. That just goes without saying, but yeah, it helps.
Yeah, and it's something that keeps you busy and keeps you. There's a lot worse hobbies to have.
Yeah, the maintenance level of it. There's a lot of kind of bulk, what I would consider like bulk work to the hobby that doesn't ask anything of your brain. But that's okay sometimes, because I've had other hobbies where you're kind of forced to make most of it is being forced to make decisions. Like if you're making music or something, it's like, oh, you want to be this long or be like that, or there's the brainless to creative work ratio is a little different, and I can still feel like I'm doing what I need to do and working towards what I want, and everything's thriving just by kind of throwing some man hours at it.
Yeah, it's kind of the mindless work of it can be nice sometimes. Then you get a little bit of creativity when you're working with morphs as well. I mean, what did you first get interested in as far as hognose morphs go?
So what I have right now is a little bit of a roundabout approach that I've definitely learned from some mistakes with. But I think what I should have done, what I wanted to do is I just wanted to get some super Arctics. What I have now is some ingredients to make some. And I've got other genes, kind of like some hets mixed with that. Like I've a lot of het albinos, and I got a male Arctic albino. So I've been able to produce Arctics and albinos. I have some. Here's a plug for John Rice from Fathom Hawgs. He's in Ohio. He's sold me most of the hognose I've bought. With all the talk of like people's crypto explosions and whatnot, and stuff like that, like. We've kind of discussed that it's important to buy breeders from like one good thing is like maybe someone that doesn't have a ton of different species of snakes. Like it's pretty good if they just have one. It's like you're not gonna have some typhoid Mary situation, which I think is what you've brought up on other episodes about. I don't know if that was your podcast or not.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of, whether it's mostly viruses that go in between species, I mean, or something like IBD that, is okay in boas. They don't outwardly show it, but say you have a boa next to your pythons and they cross-contaminate, and then it's deadly in your python when your boa may not show any symptoms. So it's like, yeah, there's plenty of reasons why you would want to kind of stay focused.
Right. in addition to that, he kind of only deals with like 3 or 4. I don't think this is telling anyone too much of his business. I mean, this is like a fucking plug for him. He's got like this dude Mitch Davey in Florida who's a partner, and Dan Eby out in Montana, and then Jeff. And they seem more or less, they kind of only trade snakes within each other. So they know that like one of them gets some new snakes, he quarantines them, they're good, he's had them for a year, that gets that morph or whatever. I cannot speak for how they literally do it now, but I don't want to say other people's business, but it seems very wise. I don't even say smart. It seems wise to limit, who you kind of share or like grow, trade your breeding stock with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's super important, and especially with the massive animals. I mean, and how many people do we know, including myself, have had, major die-offs of collections? So it really helps to be preventative.
Yeah, that would be the thing. That's the only thing that hasn't really happened. That would be the thing that would make me want to reconsider all of it,
Well, you already had the girlfriend kill the snake and then go with another dude, so that's pretty bad.
It's like, yeah, exactly. Then I kind of need a couple wins.
Yeah, it's like you started off pretty rough, man, with the chameleons and then that situation.
But it's like I take responsibility for that too, though. It's like part of it was, there are people I hear on these podcasts, they check on the reptile room 10, 12 times a day or something to make sure nothing goes off. I don't do that, man. Like I come in every day and check on them, but I really enjoy focusing 1 or 2 days a week where I really do all of it and go through everything. And I know there's some downsides to that because you're not always on the pulse of it or whatever. But like, I don't know, dude, I got anxiety, but I'm also interested in a lot of stuff. So it's like trying to manage like, well, I can't just like quit everything I'm interested in. So I'm not stressed about it, but I have to, I gotta plug away at an acceptable level. That's just, I just want to keep slowly moving upward.
Yeah, I think some people, I really respect their thoroughness as far as, they're in their room so much, they're checking everything. They know humidity levels of every part of their room, temperature levels of every part of their room. They know exactly what date everything is happening. They take perfect records. But for me, man, that just takes all the fun out of it, to be honest.
I respect that a lot. Sometimes I do it and I feel really good about it, but you just realize the time just starts to disappear, and everything you kind of still needed to do that day gets pushed forward or to the next day or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's trying to find a balance, So I just got to be cool with, sometimes it's like, dude, I did the bare minimum, but that's cool because sometimes I put the extra time in. What I kind of error on, my style seems to fall into with cleaning and maintenance is sometimes it might go a little longer than it should. Like I might only like clean or feed or water like once a week. I know other people do water changes like daily or like, whenever. But when I do clean the water, I scrub the bowls with Dawn dish soap and like spray ammonia because I feel like it's not, I know like maybe you need higher percentage ammonia for a certain amount of minutes to kill crypto or whatever. But on the whole, I feel like, dude, every time I clean these, I'm frying them. So there's at least that. They're getting like some really clean water for at least the first few days that it's sitting out there. And that's where I'm at. That's like just a confession. I'd love to have the discipline to like change water every day. My self-esteem would be, like all up here.
I think there's also things that people say that they do and then things that they actually do. So who knows?
Truth.
I
mean, everyone says with the best practice, they read a list of the best practices and they say that's what they do, and then it means they did it once and whatever.
Yeah, and it's good marketing to say you do all of these things over and over again. But I like to be honest because I'm a human, and sometimes like I got off work late tonight. So this pushed back the podcast. It pushed back things that I was going to do before this podcast, which was setting up eggs. Now I'm going to have to do that after. And now I may not be able to feed tonight. So maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Sorry, guys. I'm off my feeding schedule. I'm a scum.
And 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 there's so many like things with reptiles that like you can do it half-assly, but you're going to be coming back to deal with it later, or it might ultimately take more time. But there's always like, always it's better to do it all in one block. Like if I change all the water bowls for all the species in the same day, like that's gonna net like the most efficient like thing. But it might be a larger block of time than splitting it up over the week. But I don't have the discipline to split it up over the week.
I think we also have the luxury of having, some species that are a little bit more forgiving. So there may be some species in which if their water bowl dries out, like that's it, man, like they're dead. For us, there may be a little bit more.
And I think I'm lucky that I guess I don't have any of this. I mean, hognoses are so fucking weird. Like they're so weird, dude. Like I took some out of brumation that like, they went off feed for a while, and like they were off feed for a while, and then I finally brumated them. So on top of that, and brumation's like, dude, haven't eaten in like months. And soak them in some water, and it's like they're like, get me out of here. What the fuck is this water? I haven't seen it in 2 months. I'm like, what is this? And then the other snake I put in there, like this male I throw in the water to soak. I come back 30 minutes later and he's still drinking. And I'm like, dude, you're stupid. Like, what? I pick him up and he's hissing at me and water's spilling out of his mouth. Like he's like spitting up water. I'm like, well, first of all, I should taken you out sooner. But it's like, I can't find like any sort of logic behind these creatures. They're weird.
Yeah, keeping hognose was an interesting experience just because it's like, they're very different than a lot of other snakes. So how exactly do you go about keeping them and breeding them and doing all that good stuff?
Alrighty. Okay, so I want to kind of disclaim throughout this. It's like, I'm getting back into this stuff. I don't want to speak with authority. And there is no authority on this shit. So you kind of got to like, to some extent, you got to trailblaze your own way based on what breeders you buy stuff from say, or what book says. Books say, yeah. So trailblazing a bit, and I think I'm trying to find what works for me. I feel like that's a pretty common theme. It's like, this is what works for me. So I'm in a different house, different climate, different whatever. Seems the universal thing is they don't really like large enclosures. The hognose babies, I made like a clone of one of those I-140 racks or I-10 racks by Reptile Basics. The super tiny little diddlios. And that will work for a baby. It seems like it almost seems like their enclosure is their hide. At some point. Like you gotta have a small enough little like tub there, and it is their enclosure. They need that security. Some of the small bigger ones go up into 6 quarts. I got a couple of those. And then I use the Reptile Basics like VE series tubs. It's like VE8, VE11, VE23. I love them. I've kind of built, I don't buy any of their racks, but I buy their tubs and then like copy their racks because I'm just whatever, a dork. So those tubs are great. They can do that style where it's like you can get three like 8-quart ones, or 2 11 quarts, or 1 23. So within that covers all my hognose stuff. Like a big female hognose in that VE23 might want. I would like to maybe give them a little bigger thing just because their actual like humidity box / lay box just eats up a good like quarter of it because I can give them a nice big one in their water bowl. So that they didn't have that, they'd have plenty of room.
Yeah. And did you have a similar experience? At least when I had hognose, like my female was very consistent. My male was completely inconsistent.
Yeah, but they will both kind of go on and off. Like the females will go off weirdly because they're like, they think the year is over, or they're like, they had their eating season, perhaps. The males, and I don't know if it's either both brumation, like temperature drop, and breeding activity makes them not want to eat. But yeah, I will say that having several of them makes it a lot easier because you're not stressing about like this one normal morph pet hognose you bought that won't eat, and it's like the central focus of all of your stress. So after you have like a dozen or two, you got some problem feeders. Like, okay, we're gonna keep trying with you. We're gonna do some other things, whatever. I found that sometimes, like honestly, live pinkies That's kind of worked for me more than kind of like sending stuff.
Dude, that is so brutal to watch, by the way. I don't know if you've ever watched a hognose eat a live pinky.
Yes, I have. Dude, a pinky is still like that really helpless, small, also easy to kill kind of thing. I fed like a live hopper to one of my hognose, and I will like never do that again because it's like the thing was alive like 3/4 of the way down the snakes.
Well, I did that, and my hognose couldn't even catch it. He couldn't even catch it.
So. Dude, they can't catch any sort of tease feeding whatever, but then it's like you throw a live one and they're like, oh my god, love it. Pinkies are like, that's okay though. Like it's all right. I'm not happy about it, but whatever.
No, but my male almost exclusively ate live at one point just because I knew that that's what made him a little bit more consistent. So
yeah. And then once they get in the vibe of that, you throw a frozen thawed in front of them and they're not really thinking about it so much. They're like, oh, okay, cool. This has like half the characteristics of what the last one had. It smells like a mouth, kind of warm. The other thing I'd say though is, instead of, again, not speaking with authority, personal experience of like trying to make this thing work for me. Just brewmate the motherfucker. Don't try like 8 million cents. Just brewmate that motherfucker. Put that bitch in the fridge. Like I got a couple males, females, whatever. It's like, dude, like if you want to zoom around and not eat for a couple months, you can be like at 50 degrees and do that, and not because you're knocked down a little bit. And I feel like that's it works for me.
Yeah,
it definitely is a good approach. Like I feel like it's not going to die being information. It's still like a natural thing to do to it, and you get a really fresh start.
Yeah, and I mean you find that across I think all colubers, at least that I've worked with, North American ones. And now obviously in order to breed, I mean it seems like your obviously brumation is pretty pivotable.
Yes,
pivotal.
Pivotal.
And so once you get them out of brumation, I mean, what's your feeding schedule like? What's going on there?
I'm still trying to hack this out, man. Like, I don't know if you could relate, but when kind of get a wish list of stuff you want, you realize you're just like spending all your time taking care of it, and you're not really putting as much forefront into it, like that forethought. Shit, what was the original question?
How do you feed when you get your animals out of brumation?
Oh god. Oh yeah. So that's something I don't remember. Like I don't remember what I did last year. I think actually what I've been instructed to do from my friend is perhaps even try to reintroduce pairs before you even feed them. Like even before you put them back on the heat. Like I'm taking a couple pairs out of brumation. They back up a little bit. I was able to brumate 2 winters ago, like naturally, like I just had them in a cold room. And this year I wasn't moving stuff to the reptile room. I just like in the midst of all that, I got a wine fridge, put a Ranco thermostat on it, and finally like through way more trial and error than I want, got that dialed in. So it's like, okay, cool. I can brumate my stuff, bringing stuff out kind of staggeredly, just as things went off feed or whatever, as I'm ready for them. So I've got a couple pairs of hognose out. I soaked them in water, gave them a good old drink. And I'm going to keep them in room temp, like kind of some 70-degree temperatures for a week or two. And then I'm going to turn the heat tape, put them in the room that's a little warmer, high 70s, put the heat tape on, kind of like low 80s, start feeding, start pairing. What I haven't decided yet is whether I want to start pairing first or start feeding first. The males I have ready now are a little smaller, which would make a great meal for a female hognose out of brumation. So there's some things to consider, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they have some type of weird, half the time they don't want to eat, and then when they eat the wrong thing. Like my female ate all of her eggs, or, they're weird creatures, man.
My best female ate a freaking paper towel. And it was so weird because she ate the whole thing, got it all in there. And what saved me and saved her was basically because the towel was like kind of wound up. I pulled out what was like the inside of the tail, and it like a sock turning inside out, like pulled it like 6 inches out of her gullet, like whole paper towel. Another time I got there's some problems, man, like trying to feed hognose, like if their body is near the mouth. Like I had a freaking hognose snake like bit her own tail and then started eating herself, and it looked like totally like one of those YouTube videos of like the snake eating its tail, and they're like, what the fuck do you do with this, you know? So I sprayed some alcohol on her face, luckily. I like really rinsed her out because I felt that. I'm like not trying to, like, snakes don't get drunk. Like, they want that.
But you were also trying to eat yourself. So, I mean.
Yeah. So I was like, dude, like, it was going. It had, like, past the vent. Far past the vent.
Oh, man.
Like, and it's terrifying. Oh, my God. And, yeah, so that was cool. Hey, and also, yesterday I tried to, like, so I had these bull snakes I was putting in. I have one pair of bull snakes ready to breed out of my dozen. And I was putting them into brumation, even though it's May. Jesus, I'm that cool. I took some hognose out. I had some space in there to put the bull snakes in. So those are going to be, it'll be fine. I'll have like all these off-season babies people want. So anyway, I took the male bull snake. I'm like, I'll like rinse you under the sink, 70 degree temperature. Like, you rinse you off, put you in a tub to soak so you can drink some water. And it's kind of like you're not like just diluted all the gross stuff on, like rinse their body off so they're not sitting and making it mucking the water up. So as I put him under the water, he fucking like just bit me. And he bit my hand here and coiled my whole hand here. And it was like a feeding response thing. And I don't know, maybe I like cleaned my mice, like, all the mice out in the sink or whatever. But it was like, he was on me for 15 minutes.
Oof.
Like, and I was handcuffed. I couldn't like get to the snake to pull it off. I went upstairs to my roommate. I'm like, hey, dude, kind of need some help. Like, it's not big. It was like, 4 foot bull snake. Didn't even, surprising, the teeth still weren't that big. That really hurt. But I was like, dude, this guy is like holding on to me so strong. I can't get him off me without hurting him because he's so like into it. Yeah. So I sprayed a little bit of alcohol. Finally gave up after water over the head, alcohol. So, that was interesting.
Yeah, that's one of those things where you may have one snake go into brumation and come out with a completely different attitude too. And it's like, you can never fully, even that snake that you trusted before, he may be a little bit hungry. He may act a little bit different than he usually does.
Because I totally trusted that snake. Like, he never even hissed. He would maybe do the weird backing out thing that hognose do, or bull snakes. They stiffen up and back out, like do this thing in your hand. Yeah. He would do that. That's about it. But he just looked at my hand. It's just funny because my buds are falling. I'm not crazy about getting bit by my snakes. Like, how fast they strike never ceases to alarm me. You know what I mean? Especially anything that's bigger than a baby. Definitely every time I get more used to them, I'm not trying to be like, I'm afraid of getting bit, but I'm also like, I prefer not to. I mean, that was an ordeal.
Yeah, agree.
Like if that snake didn't bite me, I wouldn't have to spend like 20 minutes like harassing him to leave me alone. I could just like, do his thing.
Not a good experience for either of you, really.
Yeah. It's yeah, I think it's, snakes that don't bite. That's a good thing. Trying to definitely get that. I want that to be a, real good common theme with my reticulated pythons. The super dwarf retics.
Before we get too far off that way, pairing up hognose. Let's
bring it back.
We bring it back into bull snakes. Now we're bringing it back.
We're good, man. Keep me on track.
Yeah, so pairing up, how do you do that? I mean, obviously you went into brumation, you started feeding. How do you make sure they don't eat each other, do anything weird, and do you watch them the whole time?
No, well, last year I had a proven male I got from a friend from this guy in Ohio, and I was pretty confident leaving him in for 2 days at a time. Didn't really witness much actual, locking up, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't have enough experience with this to be the dude who's pulling them open while they're mating and taking pictures of them you see constantly on Facebook. It's I just want them to not fail. So I'm gonna put them in there, hope for the best. the smaller guys, I'm gonna keep an eye on the ones that I'm trying this year, just because I can't really afford to lose them, and they're definitely smaller. So I think I'm gonna try some more frequent spurts, less time. Put a mail in for hour, whatever. Let them know that like, hey, that's like a thing you can do. Like you can make some eggs. What's up? And then like a couple weeks later, after I feed them good, put them together again. That one of the males, so I have a het coral male. It's like het lavender, het albino, and I got some interesting stuff. I got a lot of like females that are like pos het for a bunch of stuff, and I kind of like intentionally was like, I can't just some of these hognose morphs just to get like into it. Like you want to get a pair of sables that's like $3,000 or something, but I have some 2019s that are 3 or 4 of them that are like 50% het sable, but they're also like arctics, or they're like possible het lavender or something. So they could be het for some really good shit or not, but they're still really nice arctic females, and I can make some really nice super arctics with that. Make some nice arctics with it. And most of them, they've got probably everything like within that is het albino, just for the odds.
Kind of like corns, like everything's recessive, so you end up with some random recessives in your breeding.
That's honestly my biggest regret is like buying stuff that could have a mixture of stuff. Is like I there's definitely some projects I'm dreaming of in the future that like I do not want to trace a fucking albino in. Like there's especially like even Arctics and super Arctics, albino Arctics and albino super Arctics are cool. They definitely look different compared to a regular albino when you're looking at two, but an Arctic and super Arctic that's just not albino, they're really stunning. Like especially the super Arctics, and I just love that black and white xanthic style snake. And that's really what I'm kind of like hoping to have a bunch of Arctic morph combos and ultimately super Arctic morph combos, which it seems like all the big hognose dudes are still haven't seen them popping out much. Like I don't know if you've seen a super Arctic lavender, like the JMG dude, Jeff Yelwood has one. If you scroll back on his Instagram, it's purple, dude. It's purple and it's got like diamonds going along its back. It's like because sometimes the super Arctic pattern with other morphs can change the pattern even more, and like there's certain stuff like super Arctic condas, I think, or like maybe an Arctic super conda or a super Arctic super conda may have more pattern on it than just a regular. Right. So this double, what is it? Codependent morph. What the fuck is it called? What are we on now?
Probably incomplete dominant.
That's it. That one. That baby right there. Incomplete. It's 2 incomplete dominants in the super form, or one in the super form, 1.5, can have more pattern than just a super conda, which is a patternless. It'll actually like put like some weird stripe back on it or some weird pattern. So it's really cool. It does crazy stuff to the head. The lavender morph, that's something I really want to be producing. Like a lot of lavender, sable, snows, just a regular xanthic. That's kind of my focus right now. Those are the ingredients I'm working with. I'm hoping within like the, like 4 to 8 or 9 pairs I might make this year. Like I'll be able to produce some future males to throw at, like some, what are some decent females I have that may be proven for other genes in the future. So I got a conda right now that's pos het lavender, pos het albino, pos het hypo. So I don't have the right snake, but if I had something that was het for all those or visual for all those, I could be like breed it and instantly know like whether you got, might have a powerhouse snake. But the underlying thing, it's still a nice conda. It'll make some nice conda, really pronounced. That's my weird thing. My other species, I've not been so like shotgun effect with them. Like with hognose, I just fell in love with them, and I kind of like just like wanted all the stuff to make all the morphs. And then after kind of getting not burnt out on that, but just realizing the shortcomings of that approach, being a little more like the bullsnakes were almost like a little more second chance of like approach to trying a little more decisive.
You learned from all the mistakes you made making your first collection or choosing your projects and stuff like that, and you kind of
not even from really actually breeding many of them, just buying what you had and raising it up and realizing like, oh, like I could have kind of got more of exactly what I was looking for, and then I'd be good. And now instead of like trying to make some babies, to hope to make some babies that will then get you what you want to make.
So what did you do as far? Well, we should probably complete the hognose part.
Yeah,
I won't get us off topic. So
I have no idea what time it is.
So females are laying eggs, and what do you do with those eggs? How do you incubate them?
Okay, so it seems like very like standard colubrid egg incubation. I have two incubators now. One someone kind of gave to me because I bought some racks, but another one is a decently sized mini fridge with some heat tape, herpstat, thermostat. I put some, like the gel freezer things, it's like a hard gel freezer pack for you put in your
ice pack
for your cooler.
Yeah.
It's called a fucking ice pack. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So you put those in there, and I feel like that creates a mass. Like you heat everything to 82 degrees. That's what I set it to. Yeah. 82 degrees, the colubrid temp, right?
Yeah.
And then, so when you open your door and stuff, if you're in a room that's like a drastically different temperature, I feel like having some, like that liquid freezer pack mass, will kind of kick not force the heat tape to kick back on and ramp back up because you had it open for 2 minutes. Now, I've definitely learned like keeping something in a similar temperature room, like an incubator, to temp you want is really smart. It's so smart. Oh my God, that's like the smartest thing ever. Because if you have like a 60-degree room and you put an incubator in it, it's like the spike it's going to make is going to be a little more extreme. And it's just going to like you're going to feel like you want to set a stopwatch, like when you open the incubator, like Jurassic Park style, like when you guys steal the embryos. If you're gonna see that. I don't know if you read the book, they talk about how there's a dip in the temperature in the cryo room, and how that's like a clue to that like Nedry got it and fucked everything up. The book is so much better. Y'all are locked up in your houses.
You're that
read
guy.
The book. Oh, I read that book like probably like 10 or 12 times, and I don't even read it most of the time. I listen to it on audiobook.
Yeah,
so good. Like do a road trip, just listen to Jurassic Park for like 16 hours. So good.
I'm legit gonna do that now, by the way.
Listen to it while you clean snakes and stuff. It is such a spookier, chilling story than the movie. The movie's great. I saw it when I was 6. It made some irreparable damage to my mind in a cool way. Like I guess it got me into like reptiles and stuff. But the books are even further enriching.
But I mean, how cool of a concept is it? I mean, and also kind of we could see it happening in a sense in our time as far as, there's all these talks of like bringing back a woolly mammoth or something like that. Like it's totally possible.
Yeah, dude. I saw some TED talk about Jack Montana or Jack O'Hara. Who's that dinosaur dude?
What?
Yeah. Jack O'Hara. Jack Herrera. That's like the one weed strain. Jack Montana talking about how we're going to like on TED Talks talking about how we're going to have a dino chicken in 5 years. And that was in 2008. So
like, bro, they made a fucking movie about this, dude.
Yeah. Like, dude, where's my dino chicken? It should be here. It should be real. It should be like, infiltrating Florida as we speak.
It's probably in Florida. You just don't know about it yet.
Yeah.
So shit, man. We just got into Jurassic Park after talking about
still relevant, dude. At least we're not talking about cigars. Boom.
Oh, snap.
Boom. That's a shot fired. I'm not interested in cigars. I love that other podcast. I listen to it a lot. I really appreciate everything they do. But I'm not interested in cigars.
Justin was in the chat just before. I don't know where he's at. Right now.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, that's like it does not compute. Like there's a glitch in the matrix.
I was like, why are you guys doing
that? I smoke weed. Does this count if I cover my mouth? Like I smoke weed. Like that's cool. That
like people can't hear you.
It does stuff. It does stuff.
It protects you at least from the law. That's what I know.
Yeah. Okay, so back on track.
So when they hatch out, how do you get them to feed?
So when I had a bad year last year. I actually bought some adult females from somebody who was like, seemed very honest, like was very forthright with me. They had kind of raised them and did a little breeding and kind of were just moving. And, I was like, whatever, not into it. So that was this really great deal. Snagged like 5 adult females. Every single one of them got egg bound. And they all laid slugs. One of them I had to take to the vet. Everything was okay though, but it was, holy shit, is that a good way to learn the hard way that you should probably just buy a baby and raise it up, and there may even be arguably like if these snakes were past like 2 or 3 years, like they were 4 or 5 years old, never bred. I don't know, you hear like nonsense, maybe it's real sense about they didn't lay early enough, they didn't develop muscles to lay, they're not going to be successful. I don't know. That's a thing I've heard. The only snake that did lay fertile eggs was the other snake I got from the breeder that I raised from a baby. She laid 12 eggs. I like opened the drawer. I didn't even know she was like gravid. I was like, holy shit. Like she was actually like kind of playing dead on top of them, which is really weird. It's just upside down on top of them. I'm like, oh my God, the snake is dead. I'm like, no, it's fine. It just laid a bunch of awesome eggs. Nice. So put them in there. What is it? Like 2 months or whatever. You can Google it. It's that 80 days. They popped out. I was like working in Richmond at the time, which sucked because it was like my first clutch of snake eggs ever hatching, and my friend that was like watching my place.
I was gonna say it's kind of cool. I mean, but I guess eggs.
It was cool being down there, but it's stressful because I'm like, dude, the one clutched in slug is hatching right now. I can't like watch them or hang out. Like my friend watching the house is like sending me like the blurriest photos of them like possible. Of course, and it's just like, okay, cool, whatever. It all worked out. Dude, it's amazing. I had 8 males, 4 females. Every one of the males ate first attempt. None of the females ate.
And those are like, you're like, I'm waiting to hold back females because I'm sure you're trying to build a base for your collection.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So there's like an Arctic albino female. She actually ate first. She's like the most bangingest one. There's a Arctic female. She needed a little bit of scenting. What worked for me this time, it seems like I've heard from other breeders, is like each year it might be could be a different scent you find yourself having luck with. Maybe that's superstition or whatever, but what was it, like tuna or salmon, got all of them to go. Some of the females, like 3/4 of the females got started really good. One of them took forever. One of them actually, like, I think I got her to eat like pieces of salmon instead of a pinky, and actually ate some salmon. But all in all, it worked. It's weird, like you do just kind of got to stick with it. And some of them don't just, pick up and run. But once you get them started, they seem to like really get it, which is weird because I would think, part of me is thinking, it's like, man, you don't want to like hold back or keep, or like, some people cull a bunch of animals that won't eat, so there's like a weird, kind of interesting, because they do come back with a vengeance. But at the same time, I'm not trying to make snakes that don't eat. Like I want that. People are trying to make all the morphs and stuff, but like I definitely want to like, selectively breed more for diet and size. I've one of my hognoses is pretty fucking runted. She's a female. She might breed, but like I feel like wouldn't it take a while to kind of straighten that out? Breed them to like healthier, better males when you could just get a female of that morph that's nicer.
Yeah, I think that's what's come home to me, because I'm finally getting to those generations where it counts, in which like I'm realizing that, I had a tricky baby that had tricky babies. Why don't we not mess with tricky, no matter how nice they are, no matter how many mutations they have in them, just stick with the animals that are big, robust, and like to eat. I mean, that's where I'm focusing more so. Yeah,
and maybe if you had some problem feeder babies or females or whatever, and they're doing good now, it's like maybe like it's still just a good pet, even though it's a female. like it's good now, but you might not want to breed it and make some babies that are difficult or whatever. So it's someone's pet now.
Right.
Yeah. It's a, it's interesting. You have a lot more experience with me though, for sure. So I've definitely listening to your podcast has helped a lot because I get all these different, your experience kind of reflected against all these other people who you interview that are in different stages of doing this stuff. So, it's the closest thing to like actually knowing, like, or having friends of people that breed reptiles or reptile breeders. You're just not actually like in the conversation, but there's some nuggets in there, and like stuff you said, like you have pairs you put together where like for some reason this pair makes all babies that don't want to eat, but like you pair it with, like, you change the pair and it's good.
Yeah, like I know, at this point I know what animals create, animals that are kind of a pain in the ass to get going. But I think it's important as far as I get to talk to so many people. I'm lucky that I get to talk to so many people, and I get to learn things from people who are way better at this than I am and have way more experience. And I think that's something that also you have done. You've actually like gone out and reached out to a bunch of people, and I think that's important too.
Yeah, man, because I don't know, it becomes kind of clear who knows, has the answers to your questions, and it's not, I live in the city. Most of the people I know, I'm friends with down here, they're like in bands or like or artists or just do some other random thing. There's like kind of normal ass people, and some like have never even seen a snake, but they just know me from some other thing I do because I've just lived in the city forever. So, it's like I don't have any options to maybe find some like mediocre rando reptile friends in the city that are like have 2 ball pythons or something. But I'd rather just like become friends with Garrett and be like, hey dude, can I like come over for like 3 days and I'll like help you like improve your display racks or whatever, and you can like give me some snake credit, and like in the midst of all that, I get to like see what a pro snake breeder's collection actually looks like in real life and what it's all about and what you're doing, and that was really cool for sure.
I would say don't ever hesitate to reach out to someone and try to help them out in exchange for knowledge. Like I did that with vending Tinley. I vended with Sean Bradley, and I was like, hey man, can I go and help you out? And he allowed me to, and I learned a lot of things about like the actual money that vendors make at that show, kind of how to vend that show, how to set everything up. And like, if someone asked me, hey man, can I come over for a weekend and I'll clean your snakes? And then we like, yeah, bro, of course. Like that would be amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you might as well just pick the people you actually want to get involved with, like Garrett's a pretty approachable dude. Like, I know he's, fielding calls constantly and doing social networking, whatever, marketing thingies. And, whatever. He's got like a ton of kids. The dude's patient, right? Like, I figured like he doesn't call me back or whatever. It's because like, whatever. So he has, when I was hanging out with him, it was funny though, because he would tell me, I thought I was kind of bad just because I have a lot of snake questions related to reticulated pythons and keeping them and breeding them. They're all like relevant. But he says like dudes that bought a snake from him once will like call him up and be like, hey man, what's up? Like, what are you doing? Like, you want to talk? What's going on with you? Like, dude, I got work to do. Like, I don't call friends to randomly talk to them, maybe because I'm a dude, but like,
no,
you know what I mean? Like, it's like, there has to be like some sort of guided, at least lie and say there's some real reason you want to talk to them. Like, hey man, I was like, yeah, so like, I want to buy a snake from you. Like, what, whatever. But I think that's kind of interesting that, you got to deal with that, and you need a lot of patience and stuff too. It's one thing to talk, have constructive conversations, but you can just spend a lot of time just like, rambling on and on.
I think it's, as far as reaching out to other people, it's super important to just keep in mind, I mean, the fact that at least as a breeder myself, it's like if someone's buying from me, that means that we're kind of starting this like relationship in a way, like some type of weird friendship bond that if you end up wanting to do what I do, like I will help you out because you have supported me in the past. And I think that that's super important to know as a buyer. So it's like I mean, you're probably you're going to buy from the guy from, what was it? Fathom Hogs.
Fathom Hawgs in Ohio. Yeah.
And you're going to buy from Garrett from Reach Out Reptiles. It's like, but you're making a cognizant decision to begin that relationship because you trust those individuals.
Yeah. And I learned too, it's like when you keep going back to the same dudes, like you might come to that snake show to buy that one snake from them, and you might be like, hey dude, that thing's pretty cool too. Like, can I buy that? And they'll be like, no, but you can have it. You know, like I'm not saying don't fucking ask people for free shit, but you know, those guys, the people that produce a lot of snakes, they produce a lot of snakes. And at some point you have a lot of stock that you don't want to lower your prices, but you will give some stuff away to friends to support you. You know, I think that's really cool. Like, don't lower the price on that morph. Give a couple of those babies away to a friend that bought some stuff from you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, man, friends is it's super important to be friends with people as far as you get on lists, you get random opportunities. You know, people reach out to you with, they may know your collection, and then they're like, hey man, I kind of have this male or this female, you know, things may line up, and then all of a sudden you have some type of some pairing or something going on that you wouldn't have had an opportunity to before if you were just a dude in your basement alone.
And you're just talking to them, and they might be mentioning some like weirdo thing they have in the corner, and you're like, oh, I'm really interested in that. Can you sell me that thing? And they're like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. You know, it ends up being some like awesome snake in your collection. There's a lot of pluses to it, and they remember the stuff they sold you. So they're like, hey man, I know what projects you're into. Like I know, like Garrett knows that next year I'm ready for a male. He knows that. That's like the conversation. It's like, yeah, man, I keep buying these females from you, but you know, I'm gonna buy that male from you. Like, you got to figure out like the coolest thing you can make for me that I can afford. You know?
Yeah, I think that's also a thing. It's like I know what I've sold customers in the past. So if I come up with something, and listen, corn snake hets don't really matter to most people, but I can say like, hey man, I know that what I have and what I sold you last year, if that goes together, that will produce like world's first animals. So here, take this male, because no one's going to give me like decent money for it. And I think it's worth decent money. So I would rather give it to them so that they have a positive experience. And then we both, you know, create amazing snakes.
Another thing I've seen that is another approach that still, you know, seems valid is like, you know, people are buying pet snakes or they're buying breeder snakes. And I'll see like Western hognoses that might be sold as normals, like $150 or something. They might either be pos het or even het for something crazy, but it's like a male. And someone's like, well, I can sell this pet male for $150, but this like pet male, het sable, or like some morph that's just not like new enough for het to be good anymore. You know, they're like, whatever, just sell it as a pet. Like, it's cool. And that was eye-opening to me. Definitely thought this, and also definitely got me into wanting to like grill people more on like, hey man, so what kind of like mystery bag stuff do you have that you can't sell for a lot of money, but you can sell to me for a little more than you would sell a normal for?
That is a good hack, and some because like
snake hacks, man.
That's like the truest thing, because I honestly sometimes to protect my projects, I'll give like I'll sell like 3 babies to the pet store down the street. And it's like, I sold them normal corn snakes, but they have crazy hets or something like that.
Right. And it's like, no one's going to like take it, you know, take advantage of it because it's redefined as a pet and not like some breeding potential kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, no, it's a move. I don't know. I don't think you can really just like hammer every breeder, you know, with that move.
No, it goes back to the like building rapport and being friends with them.
Yeah, I had like a frank conversation with him. I mean, with John, I bought like 7 or 8 snakes last year, like, and they were almost all females, and it added up to pretty big, you know, pretty good, decent price or whatever. So, you know, within that, it is like, you know, throw me some mystery stuff, you know. Let's talk. I'm going to move this forward, dude, because we're talking about breeders.
You interview me, okay?
This is how it works. I'm interviewing now. We're going to flip it. Good breeders. We talked about like Garrett and John and all those other people too. Like Dan Eby, I haven't bought a snake from him, but I want to. He just like never has what the snake I'm looking for, or the stuff he has is just like too nice and therefore too expensive. That's cool for all that. So these two people I bought bull snakes from, right? One of them is this woman. Oh Jesus. Hold on, let's start with the other woman because I can't remember her name. Jennifer Joseph. I don't know who she is. She's on Facebook. I don't think she has there's so many cool breeders. They don't really do the social media thing because they're what I'm assuming are, they're in their 50s or 60s and they I think she lives in California or something. I don't know, but she has if you look on any bull snake group on Facebook, anyone posts bull snake and you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Came from Jennifer Joseph. Boom. She's got everything. Her snakes are great. She was the one. There's been kind of talk about bull snakes with stuff you see some cool clutch of them online and you're like, oh cool, I want to get into bull snakes, I want to buy one of those, and you reply and it's oh, those were all sold a month ago. I was just showing you what you can't buy because they apparently they fly off the shelves or whatever. So I waited with her for a year, man. I almost bought a holdback male and I was like, I'm not I got too much stuff going on, but I want to buy a bunch of babies. I want this, I want that. I have a ghost female. I have a ghost snow female. I have a ivory male, which is a hypo white-sided male. A female Trumbauer hypo. Then I got a lot of stuff in it. A pair of really outcrossed Het Stillwater pair. They're she said they're outcrossed by 4 or 5 generations or something. So I got a lot of interesting things going in there, and she was awesome. So she's good. Jesus Christ, God, I wish I could remember. She's from Vegas. She lives in Vegas. She does a lot of she does a lot of red. She works heavily in reds, hyper reds, red phase. I'm not gonna get into locality Kingsville red, whatever. As far as localities are cool, and I'm into those, but I don't have documentation for any of that, so I call my things generically a color phase. There's a red bull, really red. It's definitely redder than that other one. I'm gonna breed it to this other red one, probably be pretty red. But I'm not gonna be Kingsville red, crumbly red line, whatever. So I got a red white side from them. I got a pair of hypo reds.
What is a red white sided? I don't even think I've ever seen one of those.
Here, I'll pull her out. She's just a little more pinker. That white area becomes more pink. The red, so if we're talking about ontogenetic change, is that the word? Mm-hmm. The bull snakes seem to definitely, I guess like corn snakes, every time they shed out, they get a little more into their, their ultimate look or whatever. This one just fed. She just shed too. I mean, she's a little pink, I don't know if you can tell.
But I'm sure it's difficult because obviously to get the white-sided, you need to breed out from the red line, and then you probably got to breed it back in, and then you're working with a recessive, and it's pretty tough.
Right, and she really focuses on just red, just plain kind of reds and hyper reds, and the white side is kind of something within her lines that she hatches out very few of. So I was all right, man, I want that morph one, man. I want the morphs, localities and stuff are cool, but there's certain morphs with bull snakes that I'm just kind of infatuated with. And that just the fact they have a lot of black, they can be pretty high contrast. The white-sided stuff is cool. The patternless stuff is cool. Unlike corn snakes, they have a really awesome exanthic, not an anery. Honestly, one thing that kind of gripes me about corn snakes is all the yellow in the anery. It's I want a black and white snake. Give me a black and white one. So the anery or exanthic bulls and ghost bulls are really awesome. They're definitely black and white, not really even brown on them. Sick.
Yeah, do a lot of those brown out, the exanthics?
So I only have a ghost. I have a ghost and I have a snow ghost.
Which
So,
in bulls with that, what's a ghost? Is there Anery hypo,
okay.
like hypo?
Yeah, so I've been listening to a lot of podcasts. I don't know if this one covered it. There's 2 strains of hypo in bull snakes. There's 2 strains of exanthic. Can you hear my cat like screaming in the background? Yeah. She's like just in the other room on top of the incubator, meowing at the door. She's like 20 years old. She's really what's the word? She's small, dude. She's a little. She's like 20 years old. What's that word? She's like demented.
Shit.
She's like demented or whatever. Like dementia. She got dementia.
Yeah. Not exactly demented, but
she's
senile.
Demented too.
She's a little senile cat.
Yeah. Alrighty. Okay. 2 types of exanthic. 2 type of hypo. From what I am learning about these, it seems like maybe with the assumed lines, like when someone's like, "Oh yeah, I got an exanthic," they typically mean like the Balaam exanthic, which I think is after a dude's name. They found it. And when they talk about hypo, they're probably talking about Trumbauer hypo, which is like, the Craig Trumbauer. There's also Stillwater hypo, which is like named after an area, not a person, and then Miami exanthic, which is like it's like Miami County somewhere in like the Midwest. It's not like Miami, Florida. So a ghost is a Balaam exanthic, Trumbauer hypo.
So does it have to be that?
No, you can make a ghost with the other 2. You can make a ghost with the other 2, and Jennifer just has one, and I'm trying to buy one of them because they're awesome. So it just looks different. It's just like it's a different like flavor. 2 different hypo, different exanthic, and it's
similar effect, a little bit different.
Like it's like they're like by definition like kind of the genes do the same thing. It's like it takes the yellow out for exanthic, and the hypo reduces the the black and stuff, but they do it. It seems like it's different qualities. And honestly, this is something I don't have experience with. This is things I'm reading. I haven't like raised the different types or anything. This is just what I'm trying to learn as someone who hopes to like work with these lines and not mix them all the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that ain't no good. Maybe it'd be cool to have like a double ghost and it's super ghosty.
I'm sure that's like kind of frowned upon to have both hypos together because there's kind of like no reason to it, I suppose.
I think you can just do it. Like if you're doing visual stuff and then you're not getting pause hets, you at least can account for it. Like you're not just like poisoning the well. It's like I got 10 lines of albinos in my corn snakes. Whatever, like what do you do with that?
You don't really know the person who gets it. They may pop out a hypo, and then you don't really know what line it is. You don't really know what to do with it, and that's
dude. I got some Anery. What are they? I got some Anery blood reds, and I think one of them has like dilute or something. Some other morph. I don't even know what the morph is, but it's like looks so much different than the other one that I think is a sibling. And it's like, cool, I think I'm got more than a couple genes working on in here, but we'll find out maybe if I just produce some, get more variety in the babies, and I can kind of like determine some sort of difference.
Yeah, corns are weird, man. You'll always hatch out something that seems either unexpected or you're like, don't know exactly how to explain it. Like, is it this morph? Is it like some type of enhancer that's making it look a little bit different? There's too many variables.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you what, like that stuff, corns were something there were a bunch of morphs there were a bunch of morphs in when I was a kid. When I was a kid, there were a lot of corn morphs still. But now it's like, it was like ball python kind of stuff. Like it is a lot of subtle morphs out there, to say the least.
Yeah, even, eventually it gets into this territory of like, is this real? Is this not real? Is this real? Like, yeah, right. Or is it a pre-existing morph? I mean, there's plenty of ball python morphs that kind of reinvented themselves over the years.
Yeah. And that's why I try to stay very targeted with the corn snakes. I think my taste for a lot of morphs and stuff are combos of like weird tastes and aspirations as a kid, but also even like, being like a young adult or something when I had like a couple snakes and stuff too. Like I remember the thing that wanted me to get into super dwarfs was kind of reading about them when I was like 19, 20 and just like kind of fantasizing about it. Cause I wasn't like super trying to get into all that. I was like, man, it'd be so cool to have reticulated python that's only 8 feet, and then later, time passes and you're like, okay, this caught on. But, back to the corn snakes, there's definitely things that kind of just stick with you as a kid, like that classic corn snake look, just a really nice, like normal. Kind of remember seeing one of those, a baby in a pet store when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and it was so small and it was like just so beautiful and bright. And well, I know the babies are a little darker, but still like that rich, that really deep red. Just being like, man, that's really something. So half of the corns I have like 2.4 corns, like 2 trios, and half of those are like oketes. Because I'm like, I want to go like real good, like classic, just classic ass corn snake, man.
I mean, nice really, it doesn't get much better than that. I mean, everyone agrees.
Yeah.
Even you go to like some random breeder's house, he has a pair of oketee corns.
And they're great because they're so unassuming when they're babies. Like I was amazed. I was like, yeah, cool, I'm getting some oketees. These like little ass dark normal looking snakes, I guess, are oketees. Cool. And then they shed and they shed and they shed. And it's like, dude, you were like on fire. Like the yellows and the oranges and the reds and stuff, like and all the black, like the male I have, his whole tail's black. Every time he sheds, it's like some red disappears. So cool.
Yeah, and I mean, just the amount of line breeding that's gone into those is incredible. So, what are you as far as super dwarfs? I mean, what is going on? How'd you kind of get into those? Yeah.
So it's like the experience thus far, it's not like corn snakes or ball pythons or anything where there's this huge swath of choices. You kind of get to like, oh, I want one of these, I want one of this, one of that. A lot of them, it involves me talking to Garrett, thinking I want something or thinking something I want is available, and then like him having talked me into a totally different snake. But it's not, I say talked into, but it's more like, hey, dude, here's the reality. Guess what? You don't have $5,000. Also, guess what? I know you saw this picture on Instagram that I posted, but I only need one of those. Right. Like, even though maybe that's common in mainland, but it's not common in super dwarf yet. I only got one. So if you want to go that, or you might want to like wait a year, or you might want to get this instead, or whatever. So where I'm going at with this is I have I've got a 2018, got a 2-year-old super dwarf. She's like 50% super dwarf, 12% Gampea, which is the other dwarf island. She is a tiger. She's like, it was a split clutch with dads, so I kind of got a little discount on snake because it's like a probable het. It's probable het snow. Could be het anery, could be het albino. Regardless, it'll make some 60, some 50% super dwarves if I have a male that's at least 50%. What I'm also liking about that is I'm thinking that maybe even you don't need that high of percentage to have a snake that is manageable. Like you could possibly have a 50% super dwarf that doesn't need to eat rabbits. And I feel like that's a pretty good goal. I feel like for me, a goal is like not having a snake you need someone to help you handle. So if it says under 10 feet, under 8 feet, hey, guess what? I'm in the category where I don't need to find some random dude I can call to help me clean cages or whatever.
That's such it's a fine distinction. 12 or like 10 feet, 16 feet, 20 feet. I mean, there's a big difference between all those. 8 to 10 feet is a pretty manageable snake at the end of the day.
I think when you're talking about a lean snake like a retic, it's not a boa or a berm or something. So I currently have one other female. I have 3. One's like some unknown dwarf normal. She's just absolutely beautiful. I don't have enough information on her to breed her, but she's a few years old and she's 8 feet long. So do with that what you will. Aside from her, I have this really awesome lavender albino that I got from Garrett, 50% super dwarf. It was actually like 25% Kalatoa, 25% Kayade, Kayudi, Kayawati. one of those.
Yeah, sure.
And then like 12.5% Jampea. So it's got like all this like locality business mixed into it. And it's like from his like snow super dwarf male he calls the white diamond. That's just basically like something he got. Man, I'm like, all this is like, I don't know if this is like gossip or whatever, but it's like I talked to these people and like he told me he saw this snake at Prehistoric Pets, like when he worked there or whatever, and he like later like bought the snake because he's like, this is the male I want to like make the super dwarf snows from, or a good amount of what he makes. So it's cool. I have like actually this like kind of line of super dwarf that just have really pretty patterns. That's what it is. Like he throws crazy patterns. It's a lavender albino. It's got that much percentage in it. It's I don't know, it's definitely het snow. I think it's definitely het anery. And I'm buying a 75% super dwarf pos het snow from him.
Oh damn!
Like now, so getting higher up. Still going for the pos het. I would love a real het, but all of a sudden that like adds $1,000 to it, and I'm just like, dude. So if I get now where I'm leaning, I wanted to just get like a snow male or like a motley snow male or something, so I can kind of just get all the snow stuff pumped out. But he's kind of talked me into like getting maybe like a motley golden child male that could be, like pos het for some of those too. So, because I really love that all black, super iridescent, snake, and that's what those guys are. It's why can't I remember that? It's not co-dominant. It's not codependent.
Wait, what do you?
Incomplete? It's it's incomplete dominant. Jesus, sorry, my brain's like kind of broken. It's incomplete dominant, so it's like he can make a bunch of motley golden childs with all the females I have, and then maybe some aneries and maybe some snows will pop out, or some albinos, maybe some snows will pop out, and then maybe from there I can replace the male with like a snow, and I still have these snow compatible females, So that's really what I'm working with on a practical level. If I'm like some asshole with just like a ton of money and I want to do every thing possible, I want to make super dwarf pied retics, dude. I want to like motley pied, like high white.
Sure Garrett's on top of that, right? Is that happening? Is he?
I call him like every 6 months about it, and he just like always has like the most discouraging news. He's like, no one's breeding them. That's a 10-year project. Like, it seems like there's a pretty precarious or like fingers crossed situation when you're breeding like a morph mainland to a pure super dwarf. You have that like size difference. You have that like the super dwarfs are just. It seems like they're maybe like just weirder.
So I'm guessing you go with a male super dwarf to a female mainland. Was that how you would?
No. Oh well, so all my females are, they're like at least 50% super dwarf.
But like if you're trying to get the morphs into super dwarfs, like the original pairings.
No, so to get it original is you want a super dwarf female, and you want a mainland male with as many genes as possible in it. And then you say you have a motley golden child snow male. That doesn't even add up because like I know like anery comes from a dwarf thing. Let's put that aside though. So you got a motley golden child snow. You breed that to like 100% super dwarf female. You now have 50% super dwarf babies that are het snow. Some of them might be motley. Some of them might be golden childs. Some of them might be motley golden childs.
Yeah.
And then you just keep doing that back and forth. I mean, Garrett does a way better job at explaining this, but it's
so you gotta keep on. So shit, you get the hets, and then what do you do with them? Because you don't want to make terrible like 50% hets or anything weird. You want
So well, I mean, where I am finding myself with like 50% super dwarf. Now that's like the genetic content, not like not pos het, but 50% super dwarf. That's het for something bred. It's just het to het breeding. It's a lot of like 50% het to het.
But you try to find at least a 50% super dwarf to make sure. Because
I don't want to go lower than 50% because that actually technically makes it not a super dwarf. Also, according to people.
Made up shit. This percentage is super dwarf. This is not this weird arbitrary name that we put on things.
Well,
but
I think if it has half,
standards.
if it has less than half of the genetic material, I don't think you can. That seems like a really good cutoff point. Especially when you could probably have a 50% that gets bigger than you want it to be. You know, if it just like I'd imagine if you have to 50% clutch, some of those dudes are going to get bigger. Some of them might be smaller. You know, so that's maybe where the selective stuff comes in. But I'm still just a dude with a couple of them raising them up, so I can't speak with authority.
Yeah, and they're super active. I mean, you can see behind
you.
I mean, are they always cruising like that?
Dude, I think the problem is too is like these don't get fed weekly like the other guys. I fed everyone a day, and I think they're just like, oh, like they just lose it, and it stresses me out, man. I hate seeing them like push and stuff. The lower one doesn't really push. This one in the middle, like almost. I made the mistake of buying the one snake that like out of the clutch that hadn't really shed perfectly and had a little rub on its nose. And it's like, oh, cool. I had realized that I kind of bought a problem child. You know what I mean? Like definitely like buy. If someone sends you a picture of a bunch of snakes and like one of them's different because it's like, oh, this one like shed late or this one like got a little rub or something. Don't buy that snake.
Yes.
Don't buy that one. I just thought she was really pretty and I liked her, like how she looked more. And she's doing pretty good, but it was definitely like a lesson learned. Like I definitely wouldn't like if I have an option, like of Garrett's got a bunch of snakes and I'm buying one from him. I'm like, dude, so I'm looking at these 3 snakes. Which one of these like seems more content to you? I want that one, because that's ultimately going to be like less stress, like dealing with something that's pushing or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that was kind of the downside of them at one point, right? Like people were pretty concerned that they were always pushing and they're just constant pushers.
That seems to be my biggest issue with them, man. Definitely. I've given them bigger enclosures. I don't know if it's a temperature. It seems, I want to say in my experience, it seems like it's really easy to get their low end temperature too high. It seems like that seems definitely for one definitely like legit reason they push is it's like, oh, it's too hot. They're panicking. They want to be somewhere cooler. Like it's only might be even low 70s in the room, but the far end of the enclosure is 75, 76, 8 or something. And that's just like maybe it's because they're not in like food processing mode, so they're like, hey man, I want like that cold spot. So I don't want to burn fat up or whatever. They're also just like more active and more intelligent, man. They might be bored. It's like possible.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I guess you don't want to get into too much in the weeds on like enrichment. But I mean, these are semi-arboreal snakes and, they're probably pretty active and they're probably out there catching bats and doing all types of funky stuff. So
I try to give them time outside the cage. Yeah, I try to they're the only ones that really roam around this room. Nothing else really needs to or wants to. It's like, just can handle it in my hand, whatever. Put it in a tub. I don't throw them in a bin to clean the cage and let them roam around and just fuck everything up for 30 minutes while I try to keep my cat. They try to keep the cat from getting in. The cat's crying and I gotta open the door and kick her out of the way and clean the water bowl and come in, and then I'll upstairs and oh, I need a break, and I'll come downstairs. It'll be a retic walk crawling around my floor. I was oh yeah, I did leave that open, didn't I? It's whatever. It's cool. I mean, try to I stress over a bunch of dumb shit, but I'm lucky that there's some that I don't, so I'm just gonna roll with it.
Yeah. How far off are you on breeding those guys?
So I think 2022.
So what'd you say? 3 years is one of them. So you're looking for
one of them's 2 years. I'm gonna wait till they're at least 4 years to breed them. Yeah, so it'll be very gradual. It'll be 2022, I'll have 1 female. 2023, I'll have 2 females. 2024, I'll have 3 females. And then hopefully some holdbacks that are being raised up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's super important as far as, I mean, obviously a lot of your collection, like you mentioned before, when you had those hognoses, I mean, you kept a lot of them back. So what's kind of your method of keeping babies back and kind of building projects out that way?
Man, I'm too green to have a method, man. I did definitely err this time when I had some baby leopard geckos, like maybe like almost 2 dozen, like 20 baby leopard geckos, and a dozen hognose. I sold very few of them. I was honestly just like, I don't know, I don't have enough stuff for like a table. I can do a show. I can kind of sell some stuff. Yeah, sure. I could like maybe sell some stuff online. I still kind of need to, I need to, there's a good chance it's quarantine. Like I need to like figure all that stuff out. But at the end of the day, it's like, man, if it comes down, it's just easier to keep cleaning them and feeding them than to maybe find some person who might be a pain in the ass to sell them to. Like if you're just trying to unload it. Like I don't.
Cheap customers are the biggest pain in the ass customers, even if like.
And they're probably the most ones that are gonna end up, neglecting or killing some animal that you supposedly care about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what it is. Like I mean, that was kind of part of going back into it, like having a couple die as a kid and stuff. It's like it can't just be, this thing that you move through where you make, like breed and grow and kill animals all in a whirlwind. Like it's kind of on me if I have to like hold stuff back and keep it longer. And maybe it might be in a smaller tub because it's like they're in breeder tubs or hold back tubs or whatever. But hey, they're getting fed every day. They're getting supplements. It's not getting sold by somebody who like thinks they're not going to need to buy a thermostat and they're just going to wing it or whatever. So we'll see how that goes once I start producing higher numbers of stuff. But that's, I produced so few that I could just like, fuck it. And I've heard definitely a lot of stuff on podcasts and things, people talking about how, you really should prepare to hold back everything you hatch.
Just
in case you don't sell it or whatever. Like have enough racks for all those babies. Like be prepared for some situation. You either want to hang on to them or you just not right to unload them. One thing I did do that helped though is I gave more than half of those babies to a guy who him and his like girlfriend breed leopard geckos, and they do a table and they have a full table and they got like business cards and they got it all sorted and they ship. So I just consigned them all to them. I was like, dude, just give me half of what you sell them for.
Right.
Like I know I'm not like making money hand over fist with this, but I'm probably still making more money than if I like tried to vend myself and I don't have to do it. I just like I gave them all to them and it's like cool. I no longer have to feed them or take care of them. And what was really cool is they were into it because I hung on to them so long that I had all these like sub-adult leopard geckos when like no one had babies, like to sell at shows. They're like, oh dude, like in the middle of the summer or whatever, like, hey man, you want to buy some of these babies? Like this is kind of like, oh, that sucks selling these. Like, nah, dude, I was gonna ask you the same. And then I asked them in like December or something. And they're like, dude, are you serious? Like you have stuff to sell? I'm like, dude, really? Like now you want them now? Oh yeah, take them.
Yeah, it's kind of the beauty of the seasonality of what we do.
Yeah, and I'm
shortage.
And I'm pretty delayed with my permissions for everything. So I'm hoping, at least for my own selfish thing, like I can have an easier time selling stuff because after all the babies get sold, or I'll, be able to wholesale some stuff to someone who has that selling structure kind of like, it put in place that they're into, and I can just give them some good shit to sell.
I think it's also where you are with the other stuff. I mean, take leopard geckos out of the equation. I mean, those bull snakes, you're working with some really high-end projects. The hognose, you're working with really high-end projects. Super dwarfs, pretty much all super dwarfs are in pretty high demand right now.
Yeah,
so it's like, you shouldn't have much problems going forward with selling, a lot of these high-end morphs.
Yes, and I feel really good about that. That is like very kind of, I don't want to say it feels smart, but I feel like there's a good medium between what seems to maybe be popular and things that I actually just also like. And I feel like there's a good medium. Like I kind of really just fascinated in the super dwarf stuff. Bull snake's just kind of like won me over. That the first snake I got was a non-feeder bull snake, which is like an oxymoron.
I was about to say, yeah, does that exist?
What that means. So dude just had it on like fauna or king snake. He's like, whatever, fuck it. Like pay for shipping, you can have it. Got it eating. just totally kicked ass, got huge, and I was like, dude, this snake is awesome. And it's cool because they have the same pattern as hognose. If you look at them, very similar, like dorsal.
I thought about that, yeah.
Dorsal pattern, really similar, and they have some similar morphs. I mean, you can get a cool exanthic hognose, you can get a cool exanthic bull snake, albino, snow, ghost.
Waiting for that white-sided hognose. How sick would that be?
Yeah, dude, that is another thing. That's the one thing that seems to be. I guess they got white-sided in king snakes. They got them in rat snakes, but they don't have them in corn snakes, right?
No, they have pied-sideds, which is essentially
that's some other stuff that I think is really cool that I want to get into, but that I don't want to call that white-sided. That's pied, baby. That's pied,
funny.
Baby.
It's funny how pieds and pythons is true. In retics, it comes in a little bit more white-sided, I guess, and in berms, it comes in a little weird. But ball pythons, it can totally random. And
yes,
bluebreds,
yes, exactly.
They only want to mess with the sides of the snake. That's as much white as we want to go, as far as whether it's pied or white-sided. Or
what do you mean, corn snakes? Or
yeah, like there's no like a ball python pied. Like there's nothing
but are you saying people or the snake itself? Like the snakes just don't produce that mixture?
Like yeah. Especially like a pied-sided corn snake. It's really hard to get a really high white one.
Dude, let's talk about that, man, because I want to see. All right, mix some motley in. I want to see some motley mixed in some pied-sided and see if that takes the blender to it a little bit or whatever. You know what I mean?
Let's see. What did I breed to that animal? I have an ultramel diffuse tessera mask that is pied, but like very
so, yeah,
low.
Tessera is another I feel like any pattern changing thing would be important. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good. So I'm breeding that back to the father. I'm not 100% proud of that, but I don't really mind at this point. It's just one generation, and to see if I can, I don't know where. No one really knows exactly how pied works, from my understanding. I mean, people are breeding pieds together, but they're not really putting it in many different morphs. So
yes, and that's kind of what I'm like. Something I think about a lot. Like, how did the other morphs change it, man? Like how. I mean, we've seen the pied ball python, man. Why isn't there some dude with like a basement full of pied blood reds, like cranking out crazy looking snakes? Because people would buy them.
Yeah, and that's one of the most popular morphs. I don't know, they're not the best feeders, and
especially
it's not replicable.
Oh,
yeah,
they have feeding issues. Because I'd even say, man, it's like, dude, that's like the ultimate sales pitch right there. It's like, how ball pythons are pied, and how actually they're not the best first snake, even though people think best popular means best. They're the most popular snake. They're not the best first snake. Well, now you can have a pied corn snake. What's up?
Hey, man, palmettos. Imagine when that gets down to, $200 or something. You could sell 100,000 of those things. I mean, you could sell those all day because they're amazing and incredible.
I'm really curious to see how their distribution of the bug-eyedness happens as years go on. Because I did, you saw a few for sale or whatever last year, or, kind of see them online, but now I'm seeing more, but I'm also seeing more bug-eyed ones, and they're for sale. They're not like, like, hey, it's bug-eyed, don't breed it or whatever, but it's still like they're selling it for like hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, it's like pet only $500. But then again, there's some that are going pet only very cheap, and then it's like, what is going on? What market are we in? How are we gonna price things going on in the future?
I just want some data. I want some data, man. Write down how many of them have bug eyes. Like, give me some percents.
So I know someone who's produced a good amount of them, and they said about 10%. But I've seen a good amount out there. I'm going to produce them this year, so we'll see if I get 10 eggs and one of them has bug eyes.
Yeah. So it seems like you'll get one per clutch, perhaps.
But that might be totally wrong, because people also try to protect their projects. So it's like,
and there's also my, based on nothing, but also my theory of, or, things I hear that are like, maybe if you did a head-to-head, you might get less bug-eyes than a visual-to-visual.
Yeah, like mine were crossed out the first generation to wild caught. So the idea that this guy had was, we need to make the gene pool bigger, and that will kind of
from the get-go.
The bug-eyed problem, which I don't think it will, but it may help.
We talked about this at a Repticon because I was like talking about like this weird theory of just like having doing a head-to-head breeding being more like sustainable than a visual-to-visual if there's some sort of like weakness within a morph. And it's this woman is like Charm City Glam Cams, I think. She's at Havre de Grace. She does bearded dragons though too, and she produces like the zero bearded dragon that everyone loves, that all white, awesome bearded dragon. Apparently, apparently there's like definitely some inbreeding with bearded dragons, like with issues. People like the jaws are crappy, or
Heather Moy, and she said basically everyone's trying to cross out different animals at this point. I mean, like they're trying to get more bloodlines in. They're breeding up the Vitaset, I don't know, or the bearded dragon. They're trying to outbreed it to
one of the other like species from Australia that's like adjacent to it or whatever.
So like that's where they're at, and it's like we need to take that as an example, not to get into that situation.
Yeah, and so her spiel or whatever. I was just asking about one because I was like, man, they're cool, and like I don't know, man, fuck it, maybe I'll have a bearded dragon. They're awesome. Like why not? But I'm like, why don't you see a lot of zeros? Are they just that popular? She's like, well, if you're breeding them visual, you're not doing it responsibly. Like they're not healthy, sick, whatever. She's like, I only do het-to-hets, or I produce hets, so you can make one. You make one from your pair or whatever. And I was like, that was an interesting thing to think about. I'm like, what other things might that be true about? Like, I know lizards are different, but snakes have weak. They don't advertise it, man, but just some genes are weak. Like I didn't know that the lavender gene is not very strong in hognose. Like I have seen stuff on Facebook. Like you do a visual to visual, you might have some babies that die or don't thrive, whatever. So then I'm like, well, I'm doing pretty good because I got some het lavenders. That's a good move so far. There's weird stuff.
You buy that and no one tells you beforehand.
But no one. I mean, it's not even like the breeder or whatever. It's just like that. No one. Because it's like they're like, yeah, whatever. That'll sort out later. It's a cool morph. People want it. I want to put it in.
Yeah, like as long as it looks nice, who cares what the downside is?
Yeah. But then there's other stuff. Like I would seem that the albino gene is super strong with hognose though. Like it's like every bit as healthy as regulars or whatever. Here are things, dude. I don't have any friends. I just like cruise on Facebook and stuff, and like I don't even have like a personal Facebook. I have like a fake Facebook that's Boz Hawgs, and I just follow a bunch of reptile groups and watch people argue. And definitely weird stuff with retics, like a lot of super forms of stuff, like might die, and like you kind of like maybe you might know that, but you could buy a snake and not realize like, oh, this is I wanted like a leucistic snake. It was cool. It's like $2,000. I didn't know like they have digestive problems, and I might get 2 to 10 years out of it. And that's interesting because until those points there weren't, I don't know, maybe like some colubrids and stuff. I just hadn't had the experience of a morph really being tied to anything that like made the animal shittier. Like, or at least from a kid. Like maybe they just didn't know that back then, but it's like I never saw like a weak corn snake. It's like, yeah, it's got like 5 genes in it. It's huge. It eats. It's cool.
Well, I see some degradation once you go. I don't know. It just seems like things that have a lot of recessive morphs stuffed in it have had some. Yeah.
Also, I mean, to be honest, like I don't have any firsthand yet with, I have a lot of like things that are hit for a ton of stuff, but I don't have any firsthand, experience with how it actually plays out. But still like kind of definitely something to, think about. Weak morphs.
Yeah. I mean, because if you think about it, we're lucky that we have so many things that just change the visual aspect or just change the phenotype of an animal and don't affect anything else. I mean, it may even be far
weird
they don't affect anything else. Maybe they do more so than we know.
You know what really kind of blows my mind, and something that didn't when I was a kid, there wasn't enough like different morphs of different species like to realize this. But the fact that there's so many morphs that are the same exact morph that go across species is really fascinating to me. The fact like you can have an anery retic and an anery corn snake. Like I guess sure albino, it pops up, whatever, but just a piebald, like a pied corn snake, but also a pied, ball python.
Yeah, it's like genetics go kind of across the board.
Yeah, and it's like almost like what kind of stuff is like baked into all these snakes that didn't. It's not like the evolution. They evolved enough to look different, but they didn't evolve enough to not carry these identical colored pattern mutations. And that's just like really cool to me. And that's something I didn't realize that, didn't know as a kid. So getting back into the hobby, I was like, dude, this is like some weird like gremlin rules, or it's like Pokemon or something. Like there's this like weird like mystical rules we don't know about reptiles that like all you got to do is like keep braiding like ringneck snakes together, and before you know it, you'll have like a piebald snow ringneck snake.
Well, there's spontaneous rates of mutation, so it's like the
but
more
none of them make them
breed in captivity, the more chances we're gonna.
Yeah, but like none of them make them like have legs or something, or like fur. It's like different paint job, dude.
I guess
paint job.
You get like the one that is born with like 2 hearts or something, and you don't know,
yeah.
and it randomly dies. So
yeah.
So there's probably some underlying thing, especially if you like produce in large numbers, you'll have random babies that die, like just straight up die. And who knows?
But what if what if a snake was just born and it had like lips and it was fine, and now you have like, hognose snakes with the lips, and it's cool because they're like, well, they did it with scaleless, it doesn't affect the snake.
Yeah, where's the line there?
I don't know. I don't think that's gonna happen. I just like thought it would be cool. It's like,
something else. Yeah.
It grows fins.
Yeah, we should have legs eventually. We need.
Speaking of this goes back to the dino chicken. Like just hatching into what it evolved from at some point.
Yeah, a dino chicken. So Scott, where do you think your collection's going in the future? What's the future of Boss Hogs?
Oh, in the future, man, I feel like I've really put in the infrastructure into the room. I have like a manageable climate and cages for everything. Finally, I've built some racks. I got the animals I want. I'm raising them up. My hopes are to stay on top of it enough that I can just be there for when the various animals are grown up and breeding, and it's like nail that pairing, feed it, just stay on top of everything, make sure things are getting fed and paired up at the right time, and hoping, because I'm doing a few species and I'm kind of doing this like powering through it, thing. I'm just looking for like a fairly decent success rate, if some things don't go for a certain year or whatever, that's cool. I'd rather have that than like have another egg-bound snake or something, or some other weird shit, because like I didn't have an incubator set up perfectly or whatever. So I'm just honestly, my goal is to try to not let any of my critters down. Right?
Fair goal.
Yeah, like just follow through. It's time for the follow through. That's pretty much where it is, and that's kind of the hardest thing for a lot of stuff. But it definitely having podcasts and stuff to listen to while you clean cages, and calling and talking to people, having all these conversations is the kind of thing that I think for me keeps me going. Because you can find people that are into reptiles, but I also feel like it's pretty easy to like be into this thing and be isolated too. And the thing that's going to make you want to quit is not having anybody to talk about it with.
Especially because like you said, it's like never letting any of your animals down. That doesn't mean that your animals don't die. That means that you're trying your best at all times. Things are still going to go wrong. You're going to get slugs, or eggs are going to go bad. Like stuff is going to go wrong.
You're not giving up. You're not giving up.
And you need someone to talk to during those times sometimes to realize like.
Yeah, totally.
Because someone's going to be stoked at that time when you're super down, and you may be like, oh yeah, like keeping reptiles is cool. It's just not cool for me at this very moment. I just need to stick through this.
Yeah, man. And like I had a bunch of egg bound, females last year, hognose, that I called the dude that I, buy them from, and he was super reassuring and helpful. And he's like, well, he says this, I'm at a vet, the vet saying this. I feel like so many reptile people are in this situation where they're like, I'm taking this snake to you. Hi, veterinarian. I'm taking this snake to you. I kind of don't trust anything you say, but I know you're the only person that's qualified to help me. But the breeder I buy snakes from says you should do this, and try to see like how much you can kind of like find a happy medium of them, like not just killing your snake because they're following like directions out of a book, and not totally disrespecting them as doctors.
Right. Yeah, that is a funny thing about that.
So yeah, there's that. Having a breeder you buy stuff from repeatedly. Not only do they maybe give you discounts, but when you start to have problems with their stuff or just problems with the experience, they want to see you, like, if not succeed, at least not just fail at it. Like no one, I don't know, if you like sell snakes to somebody, you don't care if, that, if that's the end of it, like that kind of sucks.
Yeah. You hopefully have some type of connection to the future of that.
It's totally passing the buck, man. Like, especially if you're like, the exchange happened, the money went into my hands, the snake went into yours. I can just like sociopathically say that this is not my responsibility anymore, even though I know you're like gonna fucking like give it to a 5-year-old who's gonna sit on it and kill it immediately, or you're like keep it in a deli cup for 6 months. And then
they just go in the car and they put it on the dashboard and let it die in the sun right after they get it.
Yeah. Do you love like seeing the dudes like pull their like snakes out of their car in the winter, like their boa constrictors in the winter, and like walking into the reptile show?
Because you need it around your neck at all times. It's really important.
Or he was like, I think this one guy, he was like gonna sell it to a boa breeder. He's like, I want to get rid of this, like whatever. You'll find a home for it. And I don't know, it's weird because I mean, speaking with the whole COVID thing and everything, like people judging people for each other's like the way they do things, like their practices of what they think is safe or smart or common sense or being cognizant or whatever. So there's just like a lot of whole gray area, I feel, where half the boneheaded, dumbass, ignorant shit people are doing, they're literally just not even, they're just like, oh, someone, hey man, your snake is out in the cold, like that could be really bad for it. Like, oh, like maybe I should be more careful about that. And then the other person is like, fuck you, man. I know what I'm doing. So like you can't just assume everyone's a terrible animal. You can't assume someone's bad because they're ignorant, Right. But at the same time, there's plenty of ignorant shitheads out there. That'll come and go to the reptile show with their 8-foot boa. It's like, yo, let me wipe some crypto all over you. Get my IBD.
Yeah,
like, man, come and get it.
Not a big fan of that. I mean, I love that people are into their animals, but I mean, you're putting way too many stimuli on that animal.
I will say at a Repticon, I saw a married couple with ball pythons around their necks, and I was like, those people are in love. Like,
yeah, it's not the worst.
Like, that's great. Like, I love it. It's cool.
Yeah, for sure. So, like Lil Dicky, man, we've gone over 2 hours.
Yo, this is Little Dicky. I don't know what he even sounds like, but this is what he sounds like.
Kind of like you, yeah. No, we were supposed to move every podcast to 1 hour, but sometimes I suck. So yeah, man, we hit 2 hours. So where can everyone find Boss Hawgs and check out what you got going on?
That brings me to how like I'm way more into caring for this stuff and having ideas about companies than actually running them. But you can follow Boss Hawgs on Instagram. It's BOSS_HAWGS. I think this Boss Hawgs, this will be a good kind of motivation. I was thinking of actually going through my whole collection, taking one picture of all my snakes, number 1 through 50 or whatever, and be like, here's the first snake, here's the second, just so everyone can get a good look at what's cooking, Through that, you can message me and email me and everything. I mean, that's probably the best thing. I'm going to set up a morph market relatively soon also.
Yeah, man. I look forward to seeing what you produce.
Thank you. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
I'm all cooped up and got plenty of thoughts that are ready for words. You know what I'm saying?
So you're a fellow, just you alone in the house? Is that your situation as well?
I was living alone for a while, and honestly, I really liked it because it's like weird. I'm like, I don't like the idea of people hearing me. Like, I like listening to music and singing and just like goofing around, and it's weird if I know like roommate can hear me.
I know my neighbors can hear me though. Like I fucking sing and do all silly shit because I live alone.
It's just weird. It's just weird even having one person around. It's like I am the most open when I'm alone because I know no one can see me.
Right.
But yeah, but my friend, he like didn't have a place to crash right before COVID, unrelated. Like he was just trying to find like a place to rent in Baltimore, and it just kind of sucks around here. Like it's just gotten more expensive, and a lot of them are like weird, stupid loft things that are just not everything you want. Anyway, he started crashing on the couch, and that turned into him living here now. So luckily, I have someone to like give me some rent money and shit during COVID.
That's nice, and you have someone there. I mean, just so
to help me pull the bullsnakes off me.
Oh, so he was there for that?
Yeah. I had to go up to his room and like have him help me, like because I was like handcuffed with the snake.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to like yank it, so I had him like spray it. So that's nice for sure.
That's definitely a good experience for a random dude to have.
Dude, the other thing, the really dumb thing too is like he lived here. He was my roommate for 5 years, and then he moved out, and I had the whole place to myself. And it's like it's just like time machine, time warp back to 8 years ago or whatever. When it's like, yep, just hang out, watch TV, stuck in the house. I know you got to go, but I just need to plug. This is not related at all. I've been playing the hell out of Breath of the Wild on Switch, that Zelda game.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh my god. So yeah, Nintendo Switch came out. Their flagship game was Breath of the Wild, is a Zelda game, and that's been keeping my sanity through all this because it's a game like the map on it, like the map you roam around is equivalent to like 5 miles across. So you see some mountain over somewhere with like a dragon like circling it, and you're like, oh cool, I wonder what's over there. And you like walk there, and like 2 hours later you're there.
Oh fuck, man!
It's so like, cool.
That just like melts away your life. Like it's just such a time suck. It seems like.
Yeah, but don't we all need escape from things?
No, yeah. But it's like
need
so
that
immersive.
Now.
It's like way too real.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, that's my plug. That's my unrelated plug. I've been.
I thought everyone
was
playing Animal Crossing now.
I have that too, man. Don't get into that. No. I mean, like we'll just keep talking though. Is what I mean. It's cool. I'm trying to like use it to flirt with girls. Be like, what's up, girl? Like, I'm gonna like drop this shovel off at your island. You need some tools, and it's not working.
It's pretty hot though. I mean,
my Animal Crossing name is Snake Daddy. I'm trying to like fill the whole island with like I'm trying to catch. I haven't caught any snakes yet, but I'm trying to like catch all like reptiles and like.
So you can like catch just random animals, like
so you can catch any bugs or fish or whatever.
Animals. Yeah.
No, it's just you're on a kind of deserted island. You start to like develop on your own as time goes on. More animals and organisms show up, and you'll craft a net and catch a bunch of bugs, and you like submit them to a museum where they like set up these really cool like museum dioramas where you like go in and look at these bugs you caught. And then alternatively, you can just like go in your house and place them. Like you hit a button to drop the bug in your house, and it like just drops it on a desk, and it'll like be in a critter keeper.
Wow.
Like, it'll just drop it in a critter keeper, so you can like literally just like wall your whole house with like enclosures.
You're like, I gotta clean my collection in Animal Crossing.
No, there's no cleaning, man. Just catch them.
Yeah, just the fun parts. I like it. So welcome. Thank you guys so much for listening to Animal Crossing podcast. Check me out.
Breath of the Snake Cast.
There you go. So you can check me out at portcitypet.com, portcitypet on Facebook, portcitypet on Instagram. This is From the Ground Up podcast. Scott, thank you for hanging out, man. We'll catch you guys later.
Thank you. See ya.